What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Collider Interview Studio at South by Southwest 2024. I am very grateful to have covered Sasquatch Sunset at Sundance 2024 and now get the opportunity to talk to Jesse Eisenberg about it here at South by Southwest. Congratulations on the film.
Thank you so much. Great to see you.
Have never seen anything like this, and I'm so glad it exists.
Yeah, me too. When I read the script, I said the exact same thing. Oh, well, actually, I said three things. One is like, I've never seen anything like this. I'm so glad it exists. But the third thing was, how has no one thought of this before? Because it seems at once like so strange, but on the other hand, you're like, oh yeah, it's such a great idea, such a simple, brilliant idea.
I pitched this to the team at Sundance. Now I want you to all turn it into an anthology series where it's an opportunity to play other mythological creatures, and you can see how their lifestyle in different areas of the world might differ.
I would love to play a satyr. Yeah.
I'm here for all of it. I will cover all those movies. I brought this up a little before we started rolling. I wanted to start with your work as a producer because I'm a really big fan of actors I admire getting behind movies in that capacity, because there are certain instances where these movies wouldn't get made unless you're behind them, and you're doing a lot of work as a producer right now. So I was curious, what sparked that interest? Was there any particular experience you had that made you stop and say to yourself, like, I could influence the projects I work on and maybe the industry for the better if I get involved in this capacity?
Well, first of all, thank you for putting it that way, because I tend not to think of it that way. I always feel a little like embarrassed doing that, because it feels like producing, because it always feels like a little bit like I'm trying to put my name on something that I wasn't involved in. Because the truth is, like, and as you know really well, like when you're an actor and producing something, you're not doing as much work as the producers who are like on the ground busy every day. And so I feel kind of a little like guilty almost. But what you said is exactly right, is that like kind of like, I don't know, like my being involved, it feels arrogant to say this, but does help certain things come to light, come to fruition. And so like, you know, like I produced this other movie that's here, this documentary called The Secret Mall Apartment, which is the director I've worked with before.
I know Jeremy.
Oh, you know Jeremy?
Jeremy worked on my first feature.
Are you kidding me?
I swear to God.
What was it?
It's called Child Eater.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Wheelhouse was very helpful.
Really?
We wouldn't have finished the movie without them.
I'll ask you more after. That's amazing. I can't believe. Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I'm looking forward to seeing him later.
Oh yeah. So Jeremy's this great documentarian, as you know, and like, yeah, I worked on this other movie of his, and I went to like, 40 screenings in New York. Like we just went back to the theater after to do Q&As, and so it brought people to see it. And yeah, I don't know. Also, I'm like involved in these like kind of big Hollywood-esque type movies, and you sometimes feel a little bit like embarrassed that there's so much attention to those and so little attention to some other movies, so it feels in some ways like atoning.
Well, I'll repeat something my colleague Steve just said during his last interview, and like we'll get to this in this conversation, but there's often times where like I'll have to ask you about a big upcoming studio project, but those projects have such large fan bases, and if people click on an article because that title that they already know and love is in it, then they're going to learn about this smaller movie that might not have gotten as big of an audience without that awareness.
Oh, that's a good point. Maybe so that's the reason. Yeah, okay, that's a really clear reason.
I think about that all the time.
Yeah.
I have another question about you just being a producer in general, and I know the answer to this question might evolve over the years, but at this point, what are some of your priorities in terms of, shepherding stories that are important to you and creating healthy on-set environments as a producer?
Oh, goodness. I'd never been asked that before. And my main goal on sets is exactly what you just said, to create like a healthy environment. I've been on sets that are so horrible, and you just think like, is this making anything better? Is anybody at the end of the day going home like not miserable? Like, what is the purpose of this? And so, I mean, I really can have more control over that set experience as a director, because I'm just like in every single aspect of it. So I directed 2 movies and I produced a few more, but for the movies that I've produced, I really haven't been on set all the time. So you really kind of like, it's hard to kind of really create that tone. As a director, though, you have a really great opportunity to create a great tone on set, to make sure everybody feels valued, to make sure everybody's art is like, working to the best of their abilities and working to the ability that they hope to work at. And so that's really important to me. In terms of like producing, my goals are like really not to produce ever. Like it just, these things, certain things like come to me for certain reasons, and I see that they won't see the light of day if I don't like step in at whatever various point I step in. And like Sasquatch lost their financing like 2 months before the movie, and like I was so desperate to not only be in this movie, but to see that it gets made. You know, this is not like a vanity project. Like, you don't see me in this movie really that well. You're like, I'm in this movie, Sasquatch, but like, it's not like the kind of thing like where like, you know, I wanted to like show off my acting skill set. It was such an odd movie. I just wanted to see that it gets made, because I just, from a creative place, this is like one of the best scripts I've ever read, one of the best conceived ideas, and as you could see when you watch the movie, like one of the most gorgeous, fully realized movies.
Oh my, I have so many follow-up questions. First, I want to start with David and Nathan, because I know you've known each other for a long time, and I love asking people about like long-lasting friendships and collaborations in this industry. How did you meet them for the first time, and what was the first thing you saw in them that signaled to you, these are going to be good creative partners for me?
Oh, what a nice question. Yeah, I met them in the Krakow Film Festival in like 2006 or 7 or something. They were there with this movie Goliath, and I was there with this strange movie called The Living Wake, which is still one of my other 5 favorite movies, including Sasquatch. And I saw this movie Goliath, and then I found them somewhere, and I was just blown away. To this day, you know, it's one of these weird things. It was like 15, 20 years ago or something, and like I still remember this one scene. It's like one of the best scenes I've ever seen in a movie, and like that was in this movie Goliath, and like so that's where we met, and I knew right away, oh God, I would love to meet these people.
That's awesome. I'm fascinated by the two of them and their work. I think there's something else. So I've heard you say, and I think you kind of just said it now too, that the Sasquatch Sunset script was one of the 5 best scripts you've ever read.
Oh yeah.
It was just making me curious. Can you name any of the other 4?
Oh, for the movies like I've been in, there are like some brilliant scripts, but like, you know, like this other one that is also an Austin-based movie, The Art of Self-Defense. This is one of the great scripts. I really hope people can get their hands on it, read it. I've been in movies where their scripts are great, like The Social Network. He won the Academy Award. In The Squid and the Whale, I think it was nominated for an Oscar. And then The Living Wake, this other movie. I love these movies that take place in different universes, because I don't know, my background is playwriting, and my plays all take place in like living rooms and couches. And so like anytime I read something like this that kind of figured out a way to take place in another universe but still be emotional, I'm so impressed.
I'll throw in one more, because I needed this movie during lockdown, because I believe that's when it came out. I obsessed over Vivarium for a very long time.
That's another one that really is just like totally out there but consistent within itself.
Makes my head spin in the best possible way. I love it. So thanks, you get the Sasquatch Sunset script. What are your first biggest burning questions for the Zellners? Just like in terms of wrapping your head around how this idea is even possible to execute.
I just wanted to make sure that it was like as kind of authentically done as the script was. Like the script is so gorgeous, and so it felt so real. It felt like these characters are as human as, you know, a person. And so I just was kind of just asking them, are you intending to do this in like the beautiful way or in the slapsticky way? And they said, no, it's beautiful. The costumes are going to be beautiful. The set's going to be beautiful. Like the cinematography is just absolutely gorgeous. And so that was their goal. I
love when I hear answers like that, and then I could say after I've seen the movie, I'm like they're right. That's exactly how it turned out. Exactly. I love the fact that like the entertainment value of what we're experiencing, this out of this world scenario, is there, but it also feels so grounded and honest to their reality, and it makes you care, it makes you attached to them.
Exactly. That's perfectly put.
Big question here, and I'm not sure if this is the way you approach a role like this, but I was wondering, what was step 1 to becoming a Sasquatch? The first thing that made you say to yourself, like, I'm on the right path? And then I also want to know the last step, the last thing you found that made you feel like my Sasquatch is whole now.
Oh, what a great question. Yeah, I think the first thing was probably just putting in these teeth. We have these prosthetic teeth. Once you put in the teeth, first of all, like they're big and they're cumbersome, but they also just make you, they change your face shape, and they make it hard to eat. They make it hard to kind of like talk. And so that was it. You know, what happens from a physical transformation, it immediately like sends signals to your brain that something's different, and it changes your entire physique and behavior. Like in acting school, when you put on a mask and suddenly you're this, you know, more extravagant, flamboyant performer. And then the last thing was just probably more emotional stuff. So like the last part of it where you're feeling really like, is how would this person emote?
There's so many layers to this character. Yeah. The next specific one I wanted to hit was all the prosthetics, because I don't know, it seems like a real treat and thrill to get to do that, but it's also like a lot that you're carrying around for a very long time. So having gone through the experience on this film, what piece of advice would you give to another actor about to do their first, you know, prosthetic heavy creature performance? It is so physically taxing and really, really
difficult psychologically too, to feel like you're in this very heavy thing with glue all over your face for 12 hours a day outside trying to act. It's psychologically really unnerving. You could feel claustrophobic. You could feel trapped. Once you think you're like stuck in this thing, you actually feel I'll never get out. And then by the end of the day, it's just the greatest relief that you'll ever experience physically. What advice would I give? Just really love the project you're about to do, because the thing that got us through this, and again, it's so physically demanding, and I don't mean to complain because I have a wonderful job, but like it was physically the most taxing experience of my life, which includes having to, do pull-ups in when I was 6 years old in school. So like it's just physically very, exhausting. But just make sure you love the thing, because the thing that got us through every day was just like these scenes are so brilliant. Every shot we know is amazing, and so that kind of made it easy. I wouldn't do something I was on the fence about. You know what I mean?
Oh, no, absolutely. And I feel like that rule should apply to probably any movie you do, because whether it's prosthetics or even like, I don't know, one-room drama, you give so much of your time and energy and yourself to every role you play. I feel like that's the best way to jump into it.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And that's a very generous response. But I do find sometimes you're on the fence about something, but you like certain aspects of it. Like if you're doing real heavy creature work, I would just say, choose carefully.
Be prepared. Be prepared. Another part of that is the movement of it all. And I've been talking about Lauren a lot lately because of this movie and also because of the movement work he did on Lisa Frankenstein as well.
Oh, wow.
Very curious. What is the element of moving like a Sasquatch that came most naturally to you? But then also, what was the thing that was most difficult to adopt and kind of like break from the human norm?
Wow, that's superb. Yes, I mean, it was oftentimes like little things like how your hand is holding, but for me, the main thing was just like the pace of walking. And you mentioned Lauren Salm, who's an old friend of mine. So I brought him onto this because I did this mime movie with him. So you've met him because of Lisa Frankenstein.
And now I'm feeling really bad because he emailed me because he heard me mention him during a couple of interviews and I have to write him back.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm like fascinated by his work.
Oh yeah, Lauren will watch this. He's up on a lot of this stuff, and his work is so great, and so people talk about him in interviews because he's beloved. He is, for people who don't know, Lauren Eric Salm is his name, S-A-L-M, and he is studied under Marcel Marceau and is now a movement coach on all these movies. So I brought him into this so that we can all be consistent. And the others were really fantastic. The other Sasquatch actors were really fantastic at like the loping and the pace of the lope, and I was either too quick or too slow, and I see in the movie now when I watch myself, I'm too quick there, too slow here. So that was what I was really struggling with. It seems absurd to even talk about this, but that was the thing that was plaguing me.
The little details, I get it. Yeah. I mean, for what it's worth, I don't notice things like that.
Okay.
I have to end with two things now. First is my supercut question, because I find that there's just a lot of doom and gloom in this industry right now, and that kind of breaks my heart. So to shine a spotlight on the good out there, can you tell me the most recent movie you've seen that gives you hope for the future of Hollywood?
Oh, yeah. What a nice question. Yeah, I mean, I saw Y2K last night, and I thought it was just superb and was laughing so much. And then, I love these movies like my favorite movie a few years ago was like this movie Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always.
Oh my
which
God,
is like
it's so good.
Verite style movies. For some reason, I'm just floored by them. And there was a movie this year called Anatomy of a Fall that's a foreign film. It got a lot of attention and had that similar kind of style. And to me, it's just like, I just aspired to making those kind of things so much because I just feel as a writer, I feel this obsequious need to make jokes every 3 seconds in a movie. And when I see a movie like that, that's just like this kind of, realism drama, I just am so I find it so aspirational.
All brilliant titles to drop right there.
Oh, thanks a lot.
Now for my studio movie question.
Yeah,
I need to ask about Now You See Me 3, which that's just like a franchise that blows my mind. One because I met some of my best friends of my life on that set visit for the first film, so it has a big place in my heart. Yeah, 5 points. That's right. 5 points. Mm-hmm. And also because it's an original movie that went on to create a franchise and a long-lasting fan base. So many questions. First, have you read the script at this point? Yeah,
I did, and hopefully it will happen like in the next 6 months. Yeah, and I think it will. It seems like it will. Yeah, it's really great. I mean, I also agree with you. It's an original franchise that celebrates. Like for me, the thing I love about it so much is like it celebrates. And having just read the script, it like celebrates intelligence and group. And it's like non-violent but exciting, and it's it's so weird to see that because it sounds so obvious and it sounds like that would be common, but it's actually quite uncommon to have a movie that's like this kind of franchise, this kind of Hollywood style movie that's really just kind of about like teamwork and intelligence rather than just violence at every turn.
Given that point and how different it is from the other franchises that we see going on and on now, what do you think it is about that concept and those characters that, you know, have made people invested even until today? Like, it's been a long time between movies, so like, why do you think there's this fervor for more still?
Oh, I mean, this is kind of an arrogant answer, but I think it's because they hired at the beginning like great actors. I'm including myself, but really I'm making the point that they hired like 10 great actors. And you know, it's the kind of thing like when you watch a movie and there's like the plot is complicated and you're trying to follow it and everything, but like at the center of it is like people who are alive on screen, who seem to be bringing themselves, who seem to be kind of like having fun, improvising within the thing. It just makes it so much more fun. There are a lot of movies like that now where where movie companies realize, you know, if we can hire really great actors for this plot-driven Hollywood-style movie, it'll give it some soul and some life. And so when I'm reading this new script for Now You See Me, or Now You Three Me, as we've been calling it, probably I'll get in trouble for that. But you know, I'm like thinking, oh wow, you know, these actors who I'm friends with, who are all like genius actors, are going to be so funny in this. And I could see, oh, we'll probably improvise this moment because I could see they set up a really great foundation. And so it's stuff like that. To me, I love acting more than anything because that's, you know, my job. And so when I see a movie that is like a plot-driven Hollywood kind of thing, I don't really care about that stuff as much. But when I see that it's filled with these great actors, it makes me really excited.
Clearly, I'm already looking forward to the movie, but like
thanks.
The passion you're exuding for it makes me even more excited.
You're so kind.
I look forward to that. I cannot wait for the world to see Sasquatch Sunset.
Yeah.
Sat in that theater at Sundance with like a big like shit-eating grin on my face. I was just tickled by the fact that this movie exists and that I got to be a part of the lives of a Sasquatch family for 90 minutes. That's something special. Congratulations.
You're just so kind. Thank you, Perry.